Last chance for the Steelers. Bradshaw trying to get away. And his pass is broken up by Tatum. Tipped off. Franco Harris has it. And he's over. What? Franco Harris grabbed the ball on a deflection. 5 seconds to go. He grabbed it with 5 seconds to go and scored.
Let's watch this again.
1 million to 1 odds on this one.
Watch this, Ricochet. Ricochet out there off of Jack Tatum and into the Man of the Year, Franco Harris's hands.
When you talk about Christmas miracles, here's the miracle of all miracles. Watch this one now. Bradshaw's lucky to even get rid of the ball. He shoots it out. Jack Tatum deflects it right into the hands of Harris. And he sets off, and the big 230-pound rookie slipped away from Warren and scored.
The date was December 23rd, 1972, and none of the 50,327 fans that were in attendance at Three River Stadium that day, or any of the people watching at home on TV, had any idea what was about to happen. If you lived in Pittsburgh, the game was blacked out on TV, and you had to go outside the city limits to watch it. It would later be called the Immaculate Reception, and this is the story of what many would call the greatest play in NFL history, told through cardboard of the men who lived that historical moment. The teams were the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Oakland Raiders. The Steelers were playing in only their second playoff game in team history, their previous appearance being a 21-0 loss in 1947 to the Philadelphia Eagles. The Raiders, on the other hand, were regular participants in AFL championship games during the late 1960s and lost to the Green Bay Packers in Super Bowl II. The Steelers were coached by Chuck Noll, who took over in 1969 to help turn around the troubled franchise. The Raiders were coached by John Madden. TV was done, play-by-play was done by Kurt Gowdy. And the color analyst was Al DeRogatis. The starting quarterbacks for the Pittsburgh Steelers, you had Terry Bradshaw. And for the Oakland Raiders, you had Darryl LaMonica. In the first quarter of the game, Andy Russell picked off a Darryl LaMonica pass in what ultimately was a defensive struggle in the first half. The teams battled to a scoreless tie at halftime. On the first possession of the second half, Pittsburgh Steelers kicker Roy Gerela kicked an 18-yard field goal to give the Steelers a 3-0 lead. Then later in the third quarter, Jack Ham picked off another Darryl LaMonica pass for LaMonica's second of the game. This ultimately caused John Madden to replace LaMonica with future Hall of Famer Kenny the Snake Stabler. Then early in the fourth quarter, Nehemiah Wilson picked off a Terry Bradshaw pass. Then on the ensuing possession, Ken Stabler fumbled on their own 25-yard line. This would give Roy Gerela another shot at another field goal, which would give them a 6-0 lead. At that point, late in the fourth quarter, Ken Stabler marched down the field and ended up scoring the tying touchdown on a 30-yard touchdown run. With the score tied, Hall of Famer George Blanda came in for the extra point. The successful attempt gave the Raiders a 7-6 lead. With the Steelers then starting on their own 40-yard line with 1 minute and 17 seconds left, Jack Tatum broke up an attempted pass to Steeler tight end John McMacken. Then on second down, a pass to Ron Shanklin went incomplete. On third down, Tatum broke up another pass to Shanklin, or to John McMacken. At this point, it was 4th down and 10 with 22 seconds left. And Pittsburgh Steelers owner at this point, Art Rooney, got in the elevator at the stadium and was heading down to the locker room to console his losing team. So setting the stage, you have 4th down and 10 with 22 seconds left. The offensive linemen that were in the game at the time, you had Bruce Van Dyke, Sam Davis, John Cobb, Jerry Mullins, and the center who would be snapping the ball to Terry Bradshaw was Jim Clack. The running backs that were in the game, you had Frenchie Fuqua, you had Franco Harris. At tight end, you had John McMacken. The receivers, you had Ron Shanklin. You had Barry Pearson, who was making his first ever appearance in an NFL football game. He was called up from the practice squad after Frank Lewis had gotten injured in the previous week against the San Diego Chargers when the Steelers clinched the division title. The play would actually be called for Pearson. They were trying to run a play where they could get a completion to him and set up an attempt for a game-winning field goal by Roy Jarella. At the snap of the ball, Tony Klein and Horace Jones of the Raiders put pressure on Terry Bradshaw. Terry Bradshaw got flushed out of the pocket, and George Atkinson of the Raiders was covering Shanklin. You had Willie Brown, who was covering Barry Pearson, appearing in his first ever football game. So at this point, Franco Harris leaked out from the backfield to give Terry Bradshaw another option. Raiders linebacker Phil Villapiano immediately followed him and was covering Franco Harris. In desperation, Bradshaw flung a pass downfield towards the middle of the field in the vicinity of Frenchie Fuqua. The pass appears to ricochet off Jack Tatum as Tatum hits Fuqua. Harris picks the ball up, and with Phil Villapiano in hot pursuit of Harris, Steelers' John McMacken comes back towards the ball and blocks Villapiano in what may have been an illegal block in the back, or a clip as it was called back then. There was no call, however, so Harris then races by the Raiders' Gerald Irons, and with one more man to beat, he stiff arms Jimmy Warren and goes in for what appears to be the game-winning touchdown. This guy, Adrian Burke, who was a former NFL quarterback and is one of 8 players to throw for 7 touchdowns in an NFL football game, was actually the back judge. He was one of the officials for this playoff game. He was the back judge and signaled the touchdown. the head referee gathered up all the other officials and asked everybody if they had seen the play. Back then, if an offensive player hit the ball first, then a second offensive player could not pick the ball up off of a ricochet or off of a deflected pass. If the defensive player hit the ball first and he caught the ball, then it's a good play. Adrian Burke said he believed that Jack Tatum hit the ball first, which would have made the play valid. This guy, another former NFL football player named Pat Harder, he was the umpire during this game. And he said he believed that Jack Tatum also hit the ball first. Ultimately, they ruled it as a catch, as a legal catch. They confirmed the touchdown, and the Raiders won the game 13-7, which is commemorated in this 1973 Topps football card. That's the story of the Immaculate Reception as told through